with you and all of that.
Okay, we're coming. We're connecting. We're connecting. We're connecting. Come on, Facebook. We're connecting. Okay, we should be ready. Oh, Ashton, do you have your opening script?
Um, I do not, but I got it. I got something though.
Okay, okay, just something to be able to open up the show, but we are live.
So go ahead and get it done. Get it going.
Let's see. I don't see it after it posted. Let me make sure. Yes, you're live.
All right. What's going on, everybody? So wonderful to be back here on the incredible WCEG network. This is the homie one and only Ashton Reynolds, and I welcome you to Millennial Talk 2.0 Blessed Coast Edition. It's been a lot going on, people. I'm not talking about just with the world because, as you all know, we're all going through this thing together. But one thing that we also have is the Holy Spirit that is still in the atmosphere, still working on our behalf so that you can still have life more abundantly, so you can know exactly why the blessed side be the best side. Straight up. There are still some amazing people out here doing some amazing things inside of this world, making sure that everybody not only are motivated to continue to live out their purpose on purpose, but also providing platforms so that you can get your purpose out there to the masses who need to see what it is that you do. And I have a trailblazer on the line with me as well that I'll get it ready to introduce to you, that I have the honor of introducing, because this brother right here, he is a trailblazer. He's humble, you know, he's a great guy. He's so humble, but hey, I'll talk him up if he ain't gonna talk himself up. But it's okay because without
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just me.
See, there you go. There you go. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the one and only Ricardo Wrice. How you doing, sir?
I am great. I am great. I am so honored to be on the other side of the microphone and not the front side. So
Right.
I'm really happy and really excited about this. So this is all you today. I get to sit back and just answer questions. So this is all you today.
No, that's all
This
right.
is
Look, we gonna
all
need.
you today.
Hey, we gonna need your input. Hey, so I'm. This is an honor. This is an honor right here. I truly am thankful for you agreeing to come back once again. I know the last time we were supposed to have our date, it had got canceled due to things that were going on inside of the world, but it's okay because God made a way. So let's
Ab-
get to,
ab-
yes, sir. So let's get straight to it. So let's start from the beginning. Let's see you were born on Halloween.
I'm glad you pulled that first. Yes, I had no control over that. Yes, I was born on Halloween, so I tell people I can either be a trick or a treat. It depends on the year and depends on how I feel. So yeah, that's that. That's that.
Okay, that's what's up, though. I mean, that's still a blessing in itself, though. You could be a blessing on a day where everybody's supposed to glorify the ghosts and all of that stuff. So I mean, hey, look at it that way, you know. So I'm seeing here at an early age, you had discovered that you had discovered your ability to lead and influence people's lives. Talk to the people about how important it is to realize what it is you're supposed to do, so that it can help you in the long run.
So here's the thing, and I hear this a lot from people who are in leadership positions currently. Many of us did not realize we were leaders. We just didn't. We were just following our star, kind of living our life, and you kind of look around and you're just like, wait, why are there a lot of people following me? Wait, why do people even want to be around me? Like, I'm just doing me. Why is that? Why does that attract people? And I think that's how it was for me for a very long time. I just kind of followed my own star. I wouldn't call myself the black sheep of my family because I wasn't, but I also knew everybody else knew that there was something different about. They called me Ricky, so there was something different about Ricky. Um, and for the longest, I just kind of had to keep it moving, keep it pushing until I got later in life, and then it was just kind of like, wait, I can really influence people and really get some things done. So how do I best utilize that skill? Um, I think it kind of really got me when I was an undergrad at Coastal Carolina University in Myrtle Beach. Before I left, my pastor, who was my spiritual mother, she was telling me that you're going to go to Coast and you're going to meet a group of young people that are waiting on you to do something, or they're waiting on you. And I didn't really understand what that meant. And I was just like, okay, whatever that means. But I loved her, and I knew that she had kind of reared me spiritually. So I was like, well, she says it, it has to be true. So that's kind of where that started. So I got to Coastal. I get there. I'm a choir director by nature, which most people don't know because I haven't done it in a minute. But I'm a choir director by nature, and I love three-part harmony. So when I got there, I joined the gospel choir. Oh, I love me some, and acapella. If you can't choir direct if you can't do acapella.
Okay.
So I'll hit it without music. I'll hit it without music in a heartbeat because that's a good choir director. But I get to Coastal and I join the gospel choir, and it's great and everything. But I'm like, they're missing something. So ultimately, I ended up starting my own organization on campus, which is called Phase 2. And from there, I ended up with a whole other set of young people that do praise dancing, Christian rap. We had an ensemble, and I just watched how things unfolded with that. And I think that was when I really realized that I've been called to do something that involved young people, and it would transform lives. Before I ended it, which went for about a good 5 years, so I started another chapter here in Atlanta. When I moved here, I was working on my master's. And I had them get together one year. I did a workshop between the two chapters, and there was almost 50 to 70 kids that showed up for that conference, that convention. And I'll never forget, we were practicing because we were going to do a big performance that Sunday. And we were practicing, and I remember I broke them up into groups, and the groups were singing songs, and it was something about the last group that they sang some song, and it resonated throughout the whole auditorium. And I just saw the pictures. Facebook does memories. So one of the memories was that conference, and you just see the picture of the young people crying out to God. They're on the floor, and they're just arms raised. And I remember that moment going, wow, there's something to what I'm called to do. And from there, I just been kind of following, what is laid before me. So here we are.
That's amazing right there. Now, you didn't even let me know that you was a choir director. Now, you held that one out. You held that out.
I don't even, and the funny thing is I did it for the longest. So it's weird to not really be doing it. I'm not a church choir director. I can do it, but I'm more of a collegiate choir director. And people are like, well, what's the difference? There's a huge difference because the collegiate choir, with the collegiate choir, everybody's there for any given reason. It could be because, you needed to be a part of a student organization. You're just looking for a place to belong. It was something to do, and you're following your friends who may be a part of it. There's any number of reasons on a college campus that somebody would join a collegiate choir. With a church choir, everybody's kind of there for the same reason in theory, but it's just different. And there's so many more things you can do with a collegiate choir. I'm not restricted to the confines of solely gospel-centric music. I can do Kirk Franklin. I can do some of the albums. I can mash up stuff. So it's a lot more fun for me to do a collegiate choir than to do a church choir. But I was raised in a church, so I know how to do a church choir, of course. But yeah, it's just a lot more fun with collegiate choirs.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So many boundaries, so many more boundaries you can cross, and so many limits you can push, and things of that nature. But exactly. I have a question for you. Was it hard for you once you found out what your calling was? Was it hard for you to walk into it initially? Well, was there some amount of hesitancy or nervousness that you encountered before you embarked on your path?
I'll be honest. The reality is I cannot definitively say that I know the purpose. I know that I'm on the right path because I'm seeing the fruits of it. But I will not definitively say that I know what, where this road is going to take me. Now, I know there will be spoils, and I do know I'm going to be wealthy, at some point, and be able to distribute, money to places that it'll need to be. But I can't say that. But I will say that for the longest, it was a struggle for me because I was raised Baptist. I switched over to apostolic. I've been apostolic for about 15 years now, but when I was in my birthing stages, I was an armor bearer for a very powerful woman of God. And everybody around her were all preachers and ministers. Well, that never fit me. So I'm just, okay, God, I'm confused. You have me here around the fire on a day-to-day basis. She was preaching 5 days a week for about a good 5 years straight. So we were always in church. And I'm like, I'm doing this, but I don't feel a call to preach. I don't feel that call. And I mean, everybody around me is doing it, but I don't feel the call to do it. Is there something wrong with me? Because if, you could have left me in Baptist and I probably would have figured some things out, but for you to move me to here, and I don't feel a call to preach or prophesy because, they were operating in a fivefold ministry. I didn't really get it. And it really took a long time. And I think I'm just now getting to a place where I'm comfortable enough to say that even though I follow my own star, this is what was written for my life. And that may not necessarily interpret into a pulpit. It may not necessarily interpret into me having a church. But I know that what I do is a lot bigger because, having a radio show, having a TV show, having a magazine, and being able to utilize the internet to this capacity, I have the ability to touch so many people that I may never see. So now I realize, that what I've been called to do is so much bigger, and too much is given required. So, accepting that has been a thing because, the reality is most leaders, if they're honest about it, we don't particularly want to be leaders. We just kind of want to live our life,
right,
and kind of do what we do. But too much is given, much is required. So I think that was a lesson that I took from switching over to apostolic is, once you realize what it is, that's what you do. So to know now that there's an expectation of me to be a leader, to guide, and to create a platform where other change agents can be transformed and renewed and be seen, that's the job. So that's what I do. That's how we get it done. Now, as it pertains to how everything is unfolded, I kind of just keep my eyes on the prize. And whatever's next, I just stay prepared. The one gift I thank God for is being good on my feet. I've always been good on my feet. So it's hard to catch me off guard because my brain just works like that. So when radio turned into TV and when TV turned into magazine, I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. None of it. Nothing. I did not go to school for it. I had never fathomed doing any of it. So when it happened, it was kind of like, you got to learn quick and you got to make it happen because whatever God puts before your hands, you're supposed to do. And whatever I'm supposed to do, I'm going to be the best at it. So I just learned really quickly. I kept up. I didn't say no. And I read. So, accepting the thing that has been placed before me, I honestly believe there is a difference between called and chosen, which we know there is. And when you're chosen, you don't get a choice. You don't get a choice.
Right.
This is what the mission is. This is what's got to be done. You're the one to do it. Get it done. And for those moments that you don't know, you pray to God, and He will send you who does know to help you get it done. And I thank God for knowing how to get interns and for being a listener that when people speak that know more than I do, I'm able to retain it and utilize it. So that's kind of what that is.
Ricardo, you have been pouring into my life with that one right there. I truly do appreciate that right there because that's kind of the similar steps that I've had. I didn't think that I was going to be in radio. I didn't think that I was going to be doing what I'm doing today. I've always pictured it. And for me to prepare for that moment in case it come, I always, what God did was cultivating my gifts. And that's what He was doing for you during that season when you was at Baptist and then you was like, I don't think I'm gonna have a church. You are the church. So He introduced Himself to you, cultivated your gifts so that you would be able to reach those that you may not see or may not come in contact with in real life. So you can still present the opportunity for them to follow your footsteps, to follow the footsteps that they didn't even know that they could get to themselves. You were chosen to be to go in the forefront of them, to prepare a way for them to say, hey, whatever you're aspiring to do, I can make that opportunity possible due to the blessing that God gave me. So in turn, I'm blessed to be a blessing to you, to help you accomplish the goals that you have for yourself. So I commend you for taking that initiative, for taking that step, and for actually listening and always being prepared for the next step that God has for you pertaining to your gifts. So that right there deserves a huge round of applause, a huge pat on the back, and all of that good stuff right there.
Yeah, let me get you real quick. Because what we're not gonna do, what you're not gonna do, because I watched your interview on, WTAC. What you're not gonna do, preacher, is set me up for the okie doke. That's what we're not gonna do. You're not gonna set me up for the okie doke. Because I know how you get down. We're not gonna do. I'm in an operating these gifts, but I know how to use it. So we're not about to do that today. That's what we're not gonna do. And let me say this, because I was gonna comment on the video because I did watch it, and I was like, no, I'm gonna wait till I get on the show with him to tell him, sir, you have no idea, like, the example, because you had to come on my show. We got to get you on my show, but you have no idea.
That's a done deal.
That you have done. Like, for those that do not know, I have a magazine that comes out tomorrow, and Ashton wrote an article for me, and I didn't know what to expect. And it wasn't just you. I had 10 people submitting, and I didn't really know what to expect from anybody. But I will honestly say your article was one of the articles, number one, I didn't have to touch. Number two, that I was blown away when I read it. And me watching you on WTAC, the way you conducted yourself, the way you articulated, sir, I am blown away. Like, and I am a very hard critic. For those that know me, I don't give accolades, you earn it. And I can honestly say that you are amazing. And I was blown away watching your interview. And even the host was, because I know I've been hosting for a minute, and she had to keep grabbing herself because she was blown away with your response. So, job well done, sir. Like, kudos to you for just being an amazing young man and really being able to not only articulate your thoughts, but being able to really represent Christ well, which we're really not. I'm not seeing a lot of these days. So kudos to you. I'm actually honored to be on the show with you, because I don't do a lot of interviews, especially not on a Saturday. But kudos to you. I'm really impressed with you. Like, I look forward to what you're getting ready to do, because I'm happy to have you affiliated with me. And of course, shout out to Penny for making this happen. That's right. My big sister, making this connection. Because she said, Ashton, because I think it was two of y'all. She was like, no, I think I'm gonna let Ashton do it. I think Ashton is a little better for you. And I was like, okay, whatever you think is best. So shout out to Penny, WCEG, for the opportunity, because she's that chick. Just wanted to shout out the boss.
She is. Most definitely. And all glory be to God for what you just said right there. I mean, when anytime I'm in the around Miss Penny and she recommends somebody, I already know that Miss Penny, she don't bring nobody shorter than the best. So I was like, okay, if they bring in that expertise, I must be on my toes and be on my P's and Q's so that I'm able to be prepared. And for the articulation and all of that to come into fruition, that's because I live this. Like, this is not a game. This is not a gimmick. This is not an image I'm trying to portray. This is who I am, and this is what you get on camera, off the camera, the jokes, the laughter, but also the wisdom God gave me. And it's funny how you said that you're not seeing that true leadership under God these days right there, because that's something that me and my brother Will, his name is William Lowe, that we've been speaking on, how the reverence of God is definitely important in these days, because we feel that as these pastors, every Sunday, the congregation comes into your church, and what you're preaching is supposed to be preparing the congregation for these times, because the freedom in Christ Jesus should not be limited to a cliche, but actually to a lifestyle once it's articulated properly by the Holy Spirit. So can you elaborate on that statement that you made regarding the reverence of God and the people of God who are really supposed to be in the forefront? Can you elaborate on it where you say that you're not seeing much of that lately?
So here's the thing. I think the issue that we're seeing, and I'll say particularly in the African-American community, is, we've forgotten why a lot of institutions were created. I interviewed Gerald Griggs, who was a social activist attorney that you're seeing a lot of now in the city. And he was saying in his interview, he was like, the church, the leaders in the church were always the ones at the front of these kinds of movements. Right. Martin Luther King was a minister. A lot of the people that were in his cohort a lot of them were ministers. They were at the forefront of the civil rights movement. So this ideology that we've grappled with now in this dispensation, that the church is supposed to really be doing its own thing, and there's supposed to be a separation of politics and church, is foolishness. If we are the salt of the world, meaning we're supposed to flavor the earth, we're supposed to have the insight, we're supposed to be able to navigate the natural with the spiritual. So if we're off doing our own thing, who's guiding the earth? Like, I'm trying to understand, where did we get that ideology from? You know, we're a candle that can't be hit under a bush. So how do you figure that you should have no say-so in what happens politically? And I'm saying politically because that's really what we're seeing. How do you figure as a man or woman of God that you have no say-so politically when you're the person that's supposed to have the most insight from the man upstairs, if we say that God rules the world? So if your direct pipeline for him to download his knowledge as to how to navigate what's going on in the earth realm, how do you figure that you being off somewhere in the wilderness is doing anybody any justice? And I'm not even talking about just your parishioners. I'm talking about the world in general. In the old days, when ministers or preachers didn't understand what was going on, they sought counsel. They invited the politicians in. This is the part that annoys me. You don't put me on my soapbox. This is the part that annoys me. You keep asking. You don't put me on my soapbox, but I was trying not to. I was trying to keep it cute today. We keep asking politicians, what is the Black agenda? What is your Black agenda for Black people? Let me stop you there, Bucko. In the old days, the council, which consisted of civil rights leaders, community leaders, they sat down. They created the Black agenda, and then they presented it to politicians who were over their community, their representatives, and said, this is what we need as a community. How are you going to get this done? Because if you're not going to get this done, we need to find somebody else to run, because this is the needs of our community. To expect people who don't look like you, sound like you, operate like you, to come up with an agenda that will appease you and meet your needs is absolutely ludicrous to me. It's absolutely ludicrous. I cringe every time people at Black folks ask that, I cringe. How are you asking them to create an agenda for your community? How is that possible? But we're so disconnected because the internet has made us feel like we can do any and everything we want to do, which you can, with no consequences, no accountability, nobody to confront or to speak to. And it's just not so, especially for leaders who are in churches or in the ministry arena. It is your job to always have the insight for the people. Too much is given, much is required. If you say, and this is the funny part, with all this going on, you know, for years, people kept saying, well, God says this, and you know, God speaks to me directly, and, you know, I got the word. Why am I not hearing from you? These are dire times. Why are you not speaking now? So God just stopped speaking to you at the most trying times of the world? He just stopped speaking to you? Now we're really seeing who's been called and who's been chosen. Because you're not getting, you know, an easy download from God if you ain't been on your face. You're not getting an easy download from God if you hadn't been in his presence. So those that have all of a sudden just been silent, so he just stopped talking to you all of a sudden? This is the time now you should have a word. The people need a word. You should have a word for the people right about now. But again, people have been left to their own devices, and they're kind of just out easy breezy, trying to figure out life. So what happens to the people? If there are no mouthpieces, what happens to the people? And that's the gripe everybody has. Black Lives Matter is amazing, but they don't have a leadership panel. So it's just a matter of a bunch of you getting together. And that's great. And I applaud the generation, your generation, for being able to coordinate a global movement such as the one we've seen. But now you guys are saying, okay, we garnered the attention, but now we're looking to you guys to speak and to actually have the plan to articulate stuff. We got the attention, which we told y'all we could do. So who's going to speak? And that's where we're at now. Who's going to speak for the community? Who's going to be the voice? Because we got to look to somebody. And I think that's where we're sitting at now.
Yeah, most definitely. I agree with you 100%, because what I've been telling people all the time is when you try to go to the enemy's platform and try to present something, this is what's going to happen. They're going to give you what you're looking for, but not what you're asking for. See, one thing that I've been doing outside of research when people have been asking me all of these questions, because I've been talking to police officers, community leaders, community activists, all glory be to God. Prior to all of this coming about, I had did a lesson that was basically preparing the kingdom builders and the church in general for times like this. I had said that within this next season, all of the work that you have been doing has been preparing you to have the best season of your life. And the test came after that with what's going on today around the world. But the blessing is, if you are a child of God, you are supposed to be the embodiment of hope, because due to the obedience that you have to God, you would be able to give his name reverence during the time like this. And when you give him reverence, he will draw the people to you, because during this times here, they will see that you are unfazed due to the peace that surpasses all understanding. That's what I've been trying to articulate through every single thing. And I've did 2 speeches, and I totally agree with you. I commended the African American community for coming together during this moment in time, and for every single culture that stands for truth, righteousness, and justice. We're coming to the aid to comfort the community that's hurting and being targeted the most. However, so when we come together, that's when the people of God, since we got us all together in one place, all on one accord, that's when we cover it all. That's where they started explaining the intangibles, and the intangibles that was taught to us in church. This is where it's supposed to come into fruition. So the question inside the church should be, were you just going to church because you like hearing the pastor speak, or were you going to church to actually receive the word to get those intangibles to help the people get through these tough, trying times? For the African American community, the question is, now that we are together, can we keep the togetherness inside of our communities to stop what is plaguing our communities, which is the miscommunication that goes on, that gets interpreted by violence just because we have a different color flag? Or if I have a relationship with the police, we're using to stop looking at me sideways, thinking that I'm 12 just because you're paranoid because you're doing something illegal. Inside of your homes, where you stop mistreating the your ladies, your girlfriends, or ladies, would you stop down talking your men, lift each other up? Inside of our communities, if we post on social media or go out and advertise our businesses that we started, will you actually support us? Because if we are a startup company and we are African American owned, and you've known us for many years, and you don't even know who owns Nike, but you give Nike all of your money, but you see us every day for the past 20 years, will you finally put some money in our pockets and say, hey, I know this brother, he's genuine. I'm going to go ahead and put my money where I know the person who's putting out the product. I know what's the agenda behind the product. So with the reverence of God, all of those problems that will leave you bound, and it'll actually make you a busybody. All of the problems that are going on inside of this world, everybody's running for answers, trying to look for somebody to answer all of these questions, where in actuality, if you go to God and give him reverence, he will give you those who will articulate those answers and those problems in the right way, and put those people who are led by God, because they have that sober mind that can hear everybody, but under the sound voice of God, we can articulate it even better. So,
well, here's the thing. But here's the issue. Here's the real issue, and this is kind of what I'm waiting to see how far this goes. Because the problem is, especially for our community, there are hard conversations we don't want to have.
Right.
I watched somebody on social media. They was like, us coming to the individuals that were killed, Breonna, Ahmaud, all those individuals. That's great. Are we going to have a conversation about black on black crime? Are we going to have a conversation of the breakdown of the black family and the fatherless households that we're seeing? Are we going to have a conversation about how we reinstate things that we really need, particularly to take care of these single mothers, because the number has shot up of single mothers? Are we going to have these hard conversations, or are we just going to rally around saying people's names and having hashtags? That's the problem. It's easy to jump on board when it's a hashtag, or it's easy to jump on board when we're fighting for a cause. It's harder to have conversations, because conversations are going to make us think. Conversations are going to make us cry. Conversations are going to make us be honest about the things that we don't want to talk about. That's the question for our community. Are we at a place, and I'm not even talking about the rest of the world, just African Americans, are we at a place now where we can legitimately sit down and have really hard conversations about why the demise of our community has happened over the last decade. Because we didn't start out like this.
Right.
We didn't start out not having church involvement. We didn't start out not having good leadership. We didn't start out being enslaved in our minds. We didn't start out that way. Our forefathers broke a lot of those things. They created pipelines. And over the last couple of years, somebody kept saying, it don't take all that. We ain't got to do all that. It don't take all that. Y'all being too extra. We ain't got to do all that. So now we sit here with no gatekeepers. Now we're sitting here with the changing of the guards, which I don't know who it got handed off to because we don't have any guards. So we need to have real conversations about what's really going on and what has put us in the position that we're in, because it's a bad situation. Now, I commend us for coming together to avenge the death of these individuals who died at the hands of police brutality. But the reality is that's the least of our worries as it pertains to African-American community. There are deeper conversations we got to have in order to move on and be able to even invite anybody else to our table. We're not even in a place now where we can invite anybody else to our table. Because if you sit them down, what are you going to say? Do we really know what we need as a unit? Do we really know what we need? Because we keep saying, in this, in that, in this. That's great. But you do realize that the stuff that you guys are asking for as it pertains to police brutality really becomes reflective in legislation. Do any of you understand anything about legislation? Did you educate yourself to be able to sit down at a table with somebody and say, you know what, this is what we say we need. And although I can't draft a bill, I can tell you some legislation that I pulled from other places, or I consulted some people that gave me information that I need to kind of put something together. Can you fill in the pieces for me? Because I know this is at the basis of what we need. Right. Are we doing that? Or are we just out in the streets protesting, you know, getting photo ops? I see more people out. And I commend it. I'm amazed at it. I love it. But when it's done, because this is what happens to African-American community. We get on this because we see these grave injustices, which, by the way, there are a lot more of this stuff that happens. We're just now seeing it because of technology. This stuff happens every day. We happen to see some heinous examples of it, which ignited a passion in the world. Plus it was timing, because we all know everything in God's timing. So it's time now for all this stuff to be addressed. We're in that season. But what usually happens is we're on a cause, we fight for that cause. People pacify us because they know they can. Oh, we're going to make this grand gesture. We're going to give this. We're going to give that because they know they can. Once it's all said and done, everybody goes back to their life. There's been no significant real change. Now, I will say with this dispensation, with this movement, I am seeing legislation being passed. That's what we need. We need, in order to stop this kind of stuff, it's got to be legislation based. You know, us being in the streets is great, but we need people at the table sitting down with these senators and these congressmen who have been voted in to have your best interest. We need to be having meetings with them. The people who understand that language need to be sitting down with them with a briefcase full of community demands saying, you've been sitting in this office, especially these incumbents. You've been sitting in this office for 20 years. You have done little to nothing. And then they go, well, how do you know that? Because we have looked down your voting record. All these bills that were on the table, you voted no on. Why did you vote no on these bills, knowing these bills that would directly impact the community you've been voted on to serve? That's what we need to start doing. You want to sit somewhere? Go sit in your senator's office and demand change. You want to protest? Go strap yourself to their desk and don't move until they sign legislation that we know has been sitting on their desk for 2 years. That's how we really gonna get change on the back end. And what we need.
And not to cut you off, but to piggyback off of what you just said right there, that's exactly right. And also, once it's passed, have that relationship develop to where you will go to these county council meetings or meetings that they hold weekly, monthly. Go there to make sure that they're still being enacted properly and that there are no type of loopholes that they're trying to that they can navigate through to take away what it is that you had asked for. See, that's where it is. Consistency, communication, and representation. That's the answer. You said something like you need to rep for public.
We're not. This is the fourth time this has come up, and I'm gonna be honest.
I've been getting it too.
My undergrad is politics, so I have a pre-law undergrad degree. I was gonna go to law school. I know all this stuff. I love it. And I did have a plan to run for public office. I'm not gonna lie. At some point, once I was done doing what I was doing, that was the plan. Has my timetable moved up? Possibly. I'm thinking about it, but I just get it. And again, all this is great, but it's about what happens when people are no longer protesting in the streets. What happens when all this dissipates? Because at some point you're not going to protest forever. What happens when all this is done? Will it be for naught? Did we really make change? The thing I've always respected about the civil rights movement, people look at the surface stuff. I get really into stuff. It was a two-part fight. There were troops on the ground doing the protesting in the community. But on the back end, the people who understood the higher aspects of it, the politics, who they needed to talk to, they were doing, the people on the ground made the noise to get people's attention. Mm-hmm. Once they got their attention, the individuals that understood the stuff that needed to be changed, they started going to offices. So it was a two-part fight. It wasn't a one-part fight. It was a two-part fight. Those individuals that knew how, they were going to those offices. They were sitting down with senators. They were sitting down with congressmen. They were sitting down with decision makers saying, okay, you see all these people in the street? This is what they want. This is why they're rising. This is what it is. I feel like we're not doing that. Everybody's on the ground, but who's in the offices? Right. Who's in? And I mean, I'm not saying that nobody's doing it, but are enough people doing it? It can't be. Just looking at Atlanta, how many counties are in Atlanta? How many cities are in Atlanta? If we did this consistently, if we had a group in every city that went down, especially while all this is going on, and people are receptive to listening to the gripes of a community, how many people, if we had subsets or factions that were going to each governing body in each state or each county, sitting down with the decision maker saying, you see all this in your street? This is what they want.
That's right.
We drafted stuff. This is what they want. This is what they need. How can we get this done collectively? How can we make this happen? Because if not, once this is over with, we're going to be in the same situation, maybe a little better, but we're going to be in the same situation again. And again, this does not negate the fact that the African-American community has 50,000 issues we need to talk about. This does not negate that. But as far as the way people treat us, now we're in a season where we can address that and get real change, because now people are receptive and now people are listening. I am, floored when I look at the people that are protesting, because it's not just us. It's not just us.
Right.
But again, we got to capitalize on the season. This is a season of real change.
Yes,
but we got to make sure we're strategic in how we usher in that change, especially since we've got the listening ear of the world, not just domestically. We have the listening ear of the world. The world is watching us, and clearly we're going to get no resolve from our president in these matters. So now is the perfect time to get it done.
That's right.
Are we going to do it?
That's right. And people got to understand. You remember towards the end of 2019. Everybody was saying change, and it was a universal voice that was speaking change in unison. Everybody was saying 2020 is my year. 2020 is the year of change. Well, one thing people got to remember is change is uncomfortable. It is not easy. So now literally this pandemic had everybody sitting down, and now everybody's on the same even playing field, because that's another thing that I was saying too. All glory be to God, because you showed it to me. I was saying this is the time, and people can go back and look at the videos that I've done, things like that. This is the time right here that you utilize transparency and honesty during the time of self-evaluation, since you are isolated from society. You can sit and look back on things. You can sit and ask yourself some tough questions, or ask the tough questions that are needed addressing at this moment right here. And so what else that needs to be done is that people don't need to scrap history, because that's actually what the enemy is using, because they wrote back in the day exactly what is going on today, which means that they were doing forward thinking. The change that we want, the answers that we want to have implemented within our society is something that is going to take time. And because it takes time, it might be something that we might not see in our lifetime, but as long as we contribute to creating a better tomorrow today, take those necessary steps, it will definitely be something that will be enacted inside of society at a point in time through consistency and preparation and proper action. But one thing that
Well,
I
that's
want to do. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Wait, what you about to say?
Oh, no. Go ahead. It's on you. It's on you.
It's your show. I'm just a guest. It's your show. Now I was gonna say, that's the funny thing about 2020. Like you said, 2019, which people do it all the time. Every time a year is going out, a new one's coming in. Oh, this is gonna be my year. Blah blah blah. The funniest thing about this is we've been asking God for certain things, and although it didn't come the way we thought it was gonna come, it came. One of my biggest prayers was, Lord, I need to be able to sit down and actually go through the stuff that you've given me to execute. Now, again, I'm good on my feet, and I've been able to keep everything going between radio and TV, and I was on a schedule, but a lot of it was getting neglected, particularly the magazine, because I knew it was something I was supposed to be doing. And I was like, well, Lord, I can't not work. I can't not do the radio and TV, but there's another avenue I really need to focus on, but I can't stay home because I can't get paid being home. So I need time to be able to be home and get paid to be home. COVID comes in, everything gets shut down. The government passes the stimulus package that now you can get unemployment and you're getting almost $1,000 a week. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You ask God to allow you to be home, most of us, so we can get stuff done and get paid for it. He answered that. Now, COVID was a byproduct of it, but the reality was the prayer was answered. A lot of us have been able to be home, to write those books, to do those magazines, to start that podcast, and many of us have not had to worry about bills because we were fortunate enough, which most people that applied got it, we were fortunate enough to get unemployment, which is not a handout because you worked for it. We were fortunate enough to get unemployment with the stimulus combined with it. So a lot of the things we were asking for, we got. We were asking God to change the earth realm. We got protesters globally in the street. Now they're listening and they're on our side. Like right. A lot of the stuff we've been praying for years, we got. It just didn't look the way we thought it was going to be. But like you say, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to come all pretty wrapped with a bow. It's going to come the manner by which God is confident enough to send it, to usher it into the earth realm for it to get done what it's supposed to get done, which is what we're seeing. Now, those of us that are in tune, we got that. Yes. Those of us who are not in tune, you see it as, oh my God, the Lord is trying to purge the earth. And this is the second.
My point is
He answered our question. It just didn't look like what we thought it was going to look like. And those of us that were in tune, we got it, and we started making moves. Once I realized that this was something serious and I was going to be home, I shifted my whole mindset. Hold on, bro. You're going to be home getting paid. You need to work on the magazine. You need to make it look great. You need to decide what you're going to do for the remaining part of the year. You need to start working on that book the Lord has been hounding you about for the last couple of months. You don't have any more excuses now. You got exactly what you asked for. And I would say that to everybody that's listening. If you've been praying to be home and you've been saying, God, I don't want to worry about bills. I just want to do your will. And you have done nothing in the last 2 months and you've been home, you out of tune. You need to repent because you were home for a reason. You were home to get that book done. You were home to start a ministry. You were home to start a podcast. If you didn't do any of that and you've been praying for it, you missed the mark. And I feel sorry for you. You need to repent. You missed the mark. We've been home for almost 3 months. Now, if you have kids, I get it. I understand. But there's also a thing called balance. You are blessed enough to be home to get something done that you've been saying, Lord, I need to get this done. I don't have the time or the space. He gave it to you. So if you didn't properly utilize it, shame on you. Woe will be unto you.
All right, preacher.
We gotta stop looking at the byproduct. Don't start. We gotta stop looking at the byproduct. We gotta look at what it is and take it for what it is. Stop looking at the byproduct. COVID is a byproduct. Protests and stuff, these are all byproducts. The point was unison among the earth and getting things done that you have not been able to do because of everyday life. And I know that life didn't stop, but find your balance. I understand your kids are home. You still got to find, you found that balance when you had to go to work. So now that you're home, find that balance. There was a reason that you were put in the house to get these things done. Somebody needs what's on the inside of you. If it's a book, if God is leading you to write a book, somebody needs that book. If it's been on you to start a podcast or whatever, somebody needs that podcast. And you sitting in the house having done nothing for the last 2 months, you've done a disservice. And this is where we get into when it's about blood on the hands in certain parts of the Bible. This is it's not literal. These are the kind of things they're talking about. things that you were supposed to do because it's a nation following you that you have not done. That's the kind of stuff makes my brother have. It's stuff like that. People need what you have. You were given gifts and talents for a reason. And now that you're in a season to properly use them, you're not.
As I stated in the article, your birth date is the answer to a societal problem within this world today. People, this is WCEG, the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group. I am here, in case you're just tuning in, with the incredible Ricardo Wrice, and he has been dropping gems left and right. So we've talked about the beginning, where he came from. We've talked about the stance that needs to be taken within these times. So since we have like 15 to 20 minutes left, now let's get it back to talking about what it is that Ricardo Wrice has created to allow him to be a voice, not just any voice, but a contributing voice to providing a platform to show the world that there are leaders that are utilizing their gifts to work in their best interest, to make sure that their voices are heard, that can aid to, and as well as entertain the individuals that need that balance of both. And I see here that on March 6th, you had became a radio show host of the Leadership Blend. So let's shift to that right there, where it's back on you. Tell us more about the Leadership Blend. Because you're incredible, sir. You're incredible. Let them know about you.
That was a good chip. Okay, so you got me good on that one. Shouts out for research. Ashton. Shouts out. Okay,
gotta
so
be prepared.
On facts. So here's the thing. So in March of 2017, I was at my job. At that time, I was a event supervisor for Andretti's in Marietta. And one of my coworkers had a show on, I forgot, they changed the name. It's The Real 1100 now. I don't know what it was then. And she was like, well, hey, you should come listen to my show. Shouts out to Erica Kane. You should come listen to my show. Check it out, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, you know what? We cool. So I'm going to go try to look for your show. So I went on the website, which took me to Love 860 AM. And when I was trying to find her show, I saw an ad that said, have you ever thought about hosting your own show, your own radio show? And I was like, yeah, I'll get some information. It's all good. I'll get some information. So I send my information inquiry to the email that's on the flyer. And I get an email back, and they're like, hey, tell us what you're thinking. What kind of show would you like? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I really just want information about it. Hadn't really thought about it. So I sent that back. The general manager calls, which at that time was Greg. Greg calls me. He's like, well, hey, let's have a little conversation about it. So we're talking. And in my head, I'm still like, I don't know anything about radio, so why are we really talking about it? And somehow he got me to come down to the station. He was like, why don't you come down to the station and look around? I'm like, okay, I'm a sucker like that. So I'm like, okay, fine. I don't know where I'm going, but fine, whatever, I'll go. So I go down to the station, and I don't like to be caught off guard. So at this time, I've thought about, maybe having a radio show just to be prepared, just in case or whatever. So he shows me around the studio. It's Love 860 AM off Northside Drive. And then we talk a little bit. So we go back to his office and we sit down. He's like, tell me, have you had a chance to think about it? What would you want to do a show on? At that time, I had my nonprofit, Phase 2 Performing Arts Organization. And I was like, if I was going to do a show, it'd probably be on nonprofit leadership, because I just see so much work that needs to be done in this sector. Because a lot of times in the nonprofit sector, which includes churches, we get so caught up in our cause that we forget it's still an organization that has to be led properly to get the resources we need to be effective in ministry or whatever you're doing. So I said, if I was going to do anything, it'd probably be something like that. So he was like, well, after talking to you for 30 minutes, sitting down with you, I think people would like you, and I think people would listen to what you have to say. So I'm like, okay, whatever that means. So he was like, I think you should consider doing it. He shows me how much it costs. I'm not an easy sell. So he was like, I think you should do it. He shows me the cost. At that time, they had iHeart, which was a big thing at that time, that came with it. And he showed me the price. And I'm like, that's for radio? And I get iHeart? That live? That's not bad. So needless to say, I pondered it for about 3 days. And in 3 days, I signed a contract. No working knowledge. I have 4 degrees, but none of them are in communications, journalism, none of that. My degrees are in pre-law, business, and organizational leadership. No working knowledge. So sign the contract in 3 days. I have less than 3 weeks to get ready to do this show.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting around like, okay, God, I don't believe in coincidences. So clearly I'm supposed to do this. How we doing it? He gives me the name. I get ready on March the 6th. I think it's the 6th. Either the 6th or the 7th, 2017. I get to the studio. My producer's on that side. I'm on this side. He counts down from 5. When he gets to 1, he says go, and I win. No formal training, nothing. I just went. So we keep going. I think a week later, I get the general manager pulls to the side. He said, "You're really good." He was like, "But you should have some of your friends come through the studio with you." And I was like, "Okay." So I invite, at that time, my pastor, Pastor DJ Perry, shouts out to her. She comes through. We do an amazing interview. When I'm done, he said, "Well, you know, you're really good with yourself, but you're really good doing interviews." So from there, I kind of, did that. Fast forward to the end of 2018, I'm sitting around, playing on Facebook. I see an ad for TV. Me. I inquiry. They message me back. We're talking again. No working knowledge of TV. Nothing. We're talking. I look for little things. So when we're talking, she's like, "Well, when would you want to do your show?" This is the Now Network. When would you want to do your show? What day of the week? She was like, "Because right now, currently, we have a space on Mondays at 3:30. Okay, God, my radio show's on Monday. So clearly this is a sign, because I can do the radio, they go straight to do TV. She says, "Okay, so with this, we don't produce anything, so you have to produce your own show. You just upload it to our server." So in my head, I'm like, "You don't know how to do none of that stuff." Didn't stop me. Again, 3 days later, I signed a contract. No idea how I'm going to film this TV show. No idea how to even do a TV show. Nothing. Go to my alumni school, AIU, American Intercontinental University in Dunwoody. I meet the new media chair, shouts out to Devon, at a career fair that they invited me to. Me and him set up a meeting. He comes to the studio. At this time, I'm at IBNX. He comes to the studio. We're talking. Somehow we get on the subject of what I'm doing. I tell him I'm doing a TV show. And he says, "How are you going to do a TV show?" "Sir, I have no idea. But I know I got less than a week to make it happen, because my debut is the 3rd. He was like, "Don't worry about it." He makes a phone call. He calls his office. "We need 3 of our best students to help Mr. Wrice produce his TV show. We're going to do this for you because we're trying to build these relationships." He's an alumni of our institution. A week later, 3 days later, I have a TV team. We're shooting at the college. We get it going. Unbeknownst to me, my TV show comes on after Joyce Myers. Out the gate.
Wow.
Out the gate. They need to tell me that. I'm watching my TV show, or I'm watching the channel getting ready for my show to come on. I flip the Now Network. I see Joyce Myers on. I text Miss, I forgot her name. I text the lady at my connect. I said, "Why did y'all tell me I'm following Joyce Myers?" She's like, "Well, I didn't want to intimidate you." Do you realize the garbage I just put out for my first episode? It is not even good. Needless to say, we do it. It's an amazing experience. So fast forward to October of last year, or I'll say August. I'm sitting around the studio. At this point, the show is doing great. The TV show is doing great. I can definitively say what each one does, which is the goal for any brand. You have to be able to make the distinction, especially if you have different facets of it. What does each thing do? So now I'm at a place where I can say TV does this, radio is designed to do this, and these are the demographics. So I'm sitting down. I'm like, I have these amazing guests, but I only have them for an hour for radio and 30 minutes for TV. But they have stories that people should be reading, something that's immortalized. So I'm like, you know what? If I say I'm the male Oprah, which I have coined that phrase, I'm the male Oprah, then Oprah has a magazine. So you need to have a magazine, and you need to have a magazine to embody all these great stories that you're hearing on radio and TV. Again, no working knowledge of how to do a magazine. I can write, but no working knowledge of how to do a magazine. So my thing is, what I don't know, I get people that do know. So I do have an intern program, a media internship program that I bring in people for TV, radio, magazine, and you do the work. So that's just a byproduct. That's just me throwing out there for those that are in media. You're going to college for it. You're majoring in journalism, communications, all that good stuff. But you need real working experience. Consider my internship, because my interns are not spinning chairs. When I brought in the magazine team, they literally did the magazine. I just told them the vision, they executed. Same thing with radio and TV. So here we are. Fast forward, and I'm working on the 2nd edition of the magazine now. It's going to be amazing. Ashton's in it. He wrote an amazing article that you're going to want to read. 10 contributing writers, 7 features, 10 blend blazers, which are up and coming individuals you want to keep your eyes on. Yeah, and an internship program. And all this is based off leadership. My objective is, when I say the male Oprah, I don't mean it for the obvious reason. It has nothing to do with her money. It has nothing to do with her. Oprah was able to create a platform that was needed for her time stamp to be able to have uncomfortable conversations for different sections of community, to have guests on it who are up and coming, to create the next ages of change. Rachel Ray, Dr. Oz, all those individuals, Dr. Phil, they all spawned off that platform she created in her timestamp. I feel like that's my job now. In this timestamp, I'm supposed to create a platform that will spawn the next generation of change agents. And it's my job to facilitate that through television, radio, and magazines. So when I say the male Oprah, that's why I say that. I'm supposed to create that platform in my timestamp. So that's my goal. And that's where we are. And like I said, my shows look at leadership and all its different aspects, all its different avenues, to show you that leadership is something you can do every day, and it goes across the board. So I interview politicians, I interview CEOs, I interview artists. If you're trailblazing in your area, in some aspect of leadership, these are the kind of people that I talk to for the radio show. For the TV show, it's about the nonprofit sector, having conversations that we typically don't have. A couple before the show went under for the season, I had Penny was with us, so she talked about running a station and creating a station. That process. I had Shelton Good, Dr. Shelton Good, who is a Forbes recognized leader of diversity and inclusion, because these terms are not exclusive to just for-profit. These are terms we should understand for the nonprofit. Your church should be diversified. So you will have to understand, we keep saying we want global ministry. I want a global ministry. Have you done the work to understand what other ethnicities need spiritually? Do you understand that kind of stuff? Because that's when we say diversity and inclusion, that what falls under that umbrella. So with the TV show, I have those kinds of conversations that we don't typically have in our in our churches or in our nonprofits. So that's the goal for that. And then the magazine is to embody all of that good stuff that we do on the TV and the radio show. So
that is awesome. That is awesome right there for sure. I like how you was able to not only give the facts of how you started, but also drop gems and also give people stuff to think about. See, that's how you know right there you was made for this right here. You do know that, right?
Oh, good grief. We have talked about this, actually. We're not doing this. This is why I don't do interviews, because then people really get to see the other side of me. This is why I do not do interviews very often, because I get on soapboxes and tangents. Yeah, it gets ugly. It gets
That's
ugly.
all right. That's all right. That's all right, though, because it was definitely needed and it was definitely on time. So I know we got a little bit of time left. I want everybody to know exactly how to follow you, how to get in contact with you, no matter if it's just to follow and support, or if you have openings for the internship program. And once again, people, I want to reiterate to you that Mr. Ricardo Wrice, the Leadership Blend magazine is releasing tomorrow. So you'll all pick up a copy and not only just get a glimpse of the amazing people that contributed to the creation of this and see Ricardo's vision coming to fruition. So you can take this time now to just let people know where they can follow you, how they could get the magazine, how they can become a part of the internship program, things of that nature.
Okay. So to get in touch with me, social media wise, it's across the board because I have everything. So with Facebook, it's Ricardo Ricky Wrice. And when I say Rice, always remember my last name is spelled with a W. So it's W-R-I-C-E. Because if you type in rice, like the food we eat, you're not going to find me. So it's W-R-I-C-E. So because I have to make that distinction. People automatically go to R-I-C-E. No. Rice with a W. So when I say the rest of my stuff, remember it's W-R-I-C-E. So it's Ricardo Ricky Wrice on Facebook, or the Leadership Blend Media Company on Facebook. LinkedIn is Ricardo D. Rice. Again, W-R-I-C-E. Twitter is, I think, Ricardo Rice. I'm still trying to maneuver Twitter. Instagram is R.D. Rice. With Facebook, everything from LinkedIn to Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, the Leadership Blend has its own stuff too. So if you can't remember my stuff, remember the Leadership Blend. because they have their own pages. As far as everything else goes, everything is centralized at my website, which is ricecommunity.com. So WRICE community.com. On the website, if you're looking for the internship, there's a form that you'll fill out that comes straight to me. That has some questions to kind of narrow that down. You also can see the latest episodes of the radio show, the last episode of the TV show, find out what's going on. The magazine has its own page. So everything is kind of centralized at ricecommunity.com. I also have 2 YouTube channels. So if you type in the Leadership Blend, and that's like blender without the ER, the Leadership Blend. If you type that in on YouTube, you'll see the radio show come up as well as the TV show. And you can hear my show on all the 11 digital platforms. Pandora, Spotify, iHeart, it's 11 of them bad boys. All the major ones are definitely included in that 11. So if you type in the Leadership Blend live podcast, it should come up across all 11 platforms. I think that's everything. If all else fails, go to the website. It'll take you to everything else. RiceCommunity.com, WRICE community.com. And yes, in a few minutes or in another couple of weeks, I'll get the internship back up and running. And we'll be going back to the studio to make some things happen. I have a lot of amazing things happening in the next couple of weeks. I haven't made the announcement, but since I'm here, Bill, on the 10th of July, we will be doing our first political candidate debate, where District 30, Triana and I should announce something, I can't remember the name. Triana and her opponent that are in a runoff will be doing a formal debate on the show. So I'm really excited about that because things are fun. And it'll be the first one me and my co-host Simone do. So again, on July the 10th, and they'll be on my website, and you'll see everything about the flyers and stuff coming up. But July the 10th, we'll be doing our first formal debate for 2 runoff candidates in District 30. So I'm excited about that. As well as the magazine coming out tomorrow. And like I said, Ashton is one of my contributing writers. So it's going to be amazing. So yes, I'm excited for the remainder of the year. I'm excited. I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm excited for what God is doing. I recognize what is happening in this season, and I'm going to utilize it. I'm going to ride it till the wheels fall off.
That's what's up right there. And it's imperative that we, since we know what's going on, we be their living embodiment of hope so that everybody else can know what's going on and know at the end of the day, everything's going to be all right. And I'm also honored that you dropped an exclusive right there, dropping the date of the formal political debate. That's what I'm talking about right there. I feel so special because you ain't even put that out there yet. I appreciate that.
You didn't get the exclusive on that one because I haven't made the announcement to the team yet. This just happened like yesterday. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. And I will say this as we're on here for those individuals that are in runoff. If you really want to make your point and you're really looking, because, talking to Triana, I know we have a limited time. Talking to Triana, the reality is a lot of them got pulled into runoff. So now you're in a situation where you got to spend more energy to fight your same party opponent. So when that decision's made, you only have like a month or 2 to go up against a Republican who's had 5 months ahead of you to promote and to really get their point across. So I came up from talking to Triana, why don't we extend the invitation to your opponent? We do a debate. That way, everybody can hear both of you guys' side in one sitting, and they can make a definitive decision without having to go find your stuff and go find her stuff. No, we're going to have a debate about the issues in District 30 between the 2 of you. And that way, some people in that district can make a definitive decision on who they want to vote for based off the debate. And it's good for the both of you guys because now you both can use the footage because nobody's a winner. It's about who makes the better argument for the case, the issues that they're running on. It's a win-win.
That's a trailblazing idea right there. I don't know why I know that the main media might do that every blue moon, but for you to be able to create that platform right there so that the community can actually see who it is that they're voting for, they can come together and voice their views and opinions and things of that nature on different things that are about within the community. That right there is awesome right there. So I definitely commend you on that one. I will be tuning in for that as well. And for everybody that is listening, I want you all to watch that as well, because that is something that is very imperative, is very on time. And so that you can see who it is that you're voting for. It's imperative that that's one of the things too that's needed. You need to know who you're voting for. You need to know what they stand for. So now you have a platform to see it if you are in that area. So that way you know who you're voting for, what you're voting for, why you're voting for it. Boom, you see them right there on television. That's awesome right there. There any more jewels that you have to drop for the people that are watching? Because you know the show is about to wrap up, but you just been so on fire today. You know, anything else you got?
You know, you be trying to set me up, and it's cool. I like you. I'm gonna let you set me. I'm gonna let you bait me because I like you, and we cool like that. I just want to say in the last couple of minutes that I have a theory, and this has kind of been a theory that I use when I create stuff. That our community is over entertained and undereducated. That's the ideology I go into with every project that I do. You know, how can we make things, and we shouldn't have to think like this, but in essence, we do. How can we make information that is needed, not necessarily entertaining, but digestible? Meaning, you know, a lot of people are not going to sit through a 3-hour debate between 60 presidential candidates, but they'll sit through a 30-minute debate between local leaders that are vying for their vote. Those of us that are in media, we have an obligation, especially at this time, that if we have working knowledge as to how to make our communities better, and we've created a platform, it is our duty to make sure that we make the information that is needed for the average Joe, which any of us, digestible. Find a way. And that way does not always revolve around us entertaining people. Now, if you can do that, great. But it does not only have to be through entertainment. You can find ways to make information digestible that people actually enjoy and want to tune into. Honestly, that was one of my fears when I did the leadership, but I was like, I don't know if people gonna like the stuff I have to do, because I know what I do. And you know, I'm a fun person, despite what it seems like. I'm a fun person, and I like to have fun people around me. So when we do the show, we get in debates and we have conversations, but we do have fun with it, because I know I don't want to sit through a boring 30-minute show about politics. So, you know, those of us that are in media, we've got to find a way to make this information that is needed digestible, and we got to do it now. Everybody can't be in entertainment. Everybody's not supposed to be in entertainment. Some of us really have a real voice that we should be using to do what we do. Not knocking entertainment, because I can build out a couple of tunes if I need to. No, I'm not doing it right now, but if I need to, I can build out a couple of tunes. You know, and I love some good music, and I love to have a good time. But there's a time and a place. And right now, where we're at, that's not the place. We got to make it happen. We got to make sure our communities are involved, because it starts with us. We're asking the world to step in on our behalf. We have to be found to make sure we know what we need when it's asked upon us. What do you want? What do you need? And it can't be a bunch of cliches. We got to have definitive answers. And anything that any of us can do that have platforms, we need to be doing it now. Even if it's just facilitating, we need to be doing it.
Man, you said a mouthful right there. But just to reiterate off of what you just said, be definitive in the answers. Be definitive in the strategy, so that way they can work as a cohesive unit to make a better tomorrow start today. Hey, I'm
Man, you made that sound way better than I did. This is why this young man is going places. I keep your eyes on Ashton. He's going places.
Hey,
Penny, I'm not going to jack Ashton. I'm not going to jack Ashton. Like I said with Kyle, I had no working knowledge of that. Shouts out to Kyle. I had no working knowledge of that. I'm not going to jack Ashton.
We're a team. We're a team. Look, we all fighting for the same thing, and that's what we do here. Both, that's what you stand for, the leadership blend. That's what we're here for, the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group. Keywords: community and empowerment and group. Well, they all key because it's worldwide. And just utilizing our platforms to not only provide that entertainment, but that education. That is just what we need. The education so that we're knowledgeable, the entertainment so they can understand, hey, you can still make memories while making progress. Yo, this has been an incredible show. I am honored to have been able to host this show here with such an incredible person that's doing some mighty, mighty things. So you all, please, please, please support my brother, support the platforms. He's actually providing a necessity for the society. Reason why is because despite entertainment, he's still addressing what needs to be addressed and keeping it coming consistently. As you can see, he's been doing it for quite a long time, and he knows what he's talking about because he got the degrees to back it up. So
I look real good on paper. I look real good on paper.
that's right. That's right. That's right. So he is solidified. He's validated straight up. But y'all, this has been incredible. This is the homie one and only Ashton Reynolds. This has been the Millennial Talk 2.0 radio show, Blessed Coast edition. If you want to follow me, well, just like Ricardo, I got that website as well because, you know, my Instagram is at Blessed Coast, Facebook, my name, Ashton Reynolds. But if you want to find all of that, just go to www.blessedcoast.com. And you spell that BLESSEDKOAST. And you know, we have some people they don't read. That's all right. I got a tutorial video just for you, so you can show how to navigate this the website. I got it for you.
Innovation. Innovation. It's time. Innovation.
Oh yeah. So we're definitely about to do that. And since you had gave an exclusive, I guess I'll do that as well. On July 1st, I was going to announce the date, the official date of the concert that I will be throwing at the Clayton County Performing Arts Center. July 1st, that was the day I was going to release the ticket sales. But the date of it will be October 3rd. That is the first Saturday of October. And it will be starting at 8. The doors are open at 7. The show will start at 8. And it's going to be wonderful. It's an 1,800 seat auditorium. And I want every seat filled with everybody from law enforcement to students to media teams to Ricardo, Wrice. I need to see everybody.
I'm there.
I need to see everybody there because we want to embody that change. We're going to make sure that that's in the forefront and at the same time have a good time unifying with each other. Law-abiding citizen with law enforcement. You get to meet community leaders. And also what I'm doing is with the ticket sales and things like that, I'm taking everything that I do. I'm taking half of that and I'm sowing into the individuals that are there. I'm going to sow it to some businesses. If kids are going to college, I'm sowing into them. If you got a bill that you own, I'm sowing it to some people. We're going to have an altar call so that way you can all reverence in the presence of God to let them know that, hey, when you apply God to every aspect of your life and understand that you can't limit him into a box because if he created this world, that means he's limitless. Don't give the power to one who is limited because the more that the enemy realizes that his time is running out, the more desperate the acts become. So what he tries to do is deter your attention from God and have you focus on him so that you will be in a state of panic where in actuality, you can always enjoy life because you are free in the name of Jesus. Look, I ain't trying to preach. You set me up, Ricardo.
I feel like I should take an offering. Like, I think I should take an offering. Like, what is happening? Penny. I'm not interviewing with Ashton again. This was an okie doke. You knew it, and me and you have a conversation about okie doke. You knew this was gonna happen, and yeah, I'm done with it. I'm done. I don't want to talk anymore. I'm done.
Hey, we're done. We're done, y'all. We thank you all for tuning in. This is the homie one and only Ashton Reynolds, and I'm signing off. You all be blessed. Continue to have a blessed rest of your day and all the weeks to come. Every day is opportunity, so take the opportunity to be great. Love y'all.
Thank you too for everything. And if you all would give me about 2 minutes after we come off, I need to talk to you about something very, very, very important. Okay.
All right.
You got a minute? Okay, great. Thanks, guys.